Here. All right, now we're live, and I should be better on this one. I did not expect to have that many issues with the last one. All right, because you need to explain what's going on here, and let's see if I can get the view right, because I'm now had to move the camera mount so it's not blocking the mic. That is and was the issue. Let's see what I can do here. That should be clear enough, I would think. Okay. We are low budget, but we are getting it there. Let's see if I can get this mount right there. There we go. That should be perfect. All right, so now you should be able to hear me. The mount was covering up the mic on this thing. So let me know if I got audio. Other than that, all right. This is Operation Hot Biscuit that I'm going to do on this Ukrainian flight 757 that got shot down. That was leaving Tehran, Iran, in the early morning of the night that they were shooting cruise missiles over at our guys over there. So they had shot tens of them, which they say now was like 15 of them, is what they're saying. So basically, what you're looking at right here is the explanation of a deadly rocket missile, okay, that they have, that is a surface-to-air missile. That these things, I want to say, that go up to 2,500 feet, something like that, up to like, however, it went up to 8,000. I mean, the thing was shot down. That's, the range could be a lot longer. I know they have different ranges for different missiles. They've got several different kinds of missiles. This particular one is made to kill pilots. That's what it's designed to do. It's not designed to take out the airplane itself. It's designed to take out the pilot. All of these little squares, think of that as like a shotgun shell, okay? Behind this is a pellet for each one of these. And this is the yellow part here. That sleeve pushes back onto the missile. This yellow part is where this is housed. That's what it looks like before it goes in there. And it is basically, it's a shot shell that is exploded in close proximity to the nose cone of an airplane to kill pilots. Okay. In doing that, shrapnel comes off of it, because all these little squares and stuff comes flying off of it and creates flak. Flak will get into the engine and make the engine go out, which is why you saw the engine of that other, the Ukrainian flight 757, which is a Boeing 737-800. It's not the 7. It's not the Max. It's not the new MCAS system or anything like that. This was a reliable plane, and it just so happened that other planes that hadn't been maintained were the same flight that left out that night. This one was recently maintained, and everything was fine with it. It had no issues. So you got a seasoned airplane pilot, Ukrainian Airlines, taking passengers to get out of there. Some of them could have been people who were in the same way that we take our non-essential personnel, families of military, anything, and have them leave a country if something's fixing to pop off. They probably did the same. Actually, it's said that I think the daughter of Soleimani was in the United States. That's a little odd for me, but so I'm redoing this because of the audio. But this is basically, though, the missile that took out that plane, one of 3. They won't admit to possibly 2. I saw one where the plane's engine was on fire. I saw another that a white light chased it and hit it midair. And the third one, I think, was a different type of missile, but hit it all the same before it hit the ground. Maybe they took it out before it got to a populated area. Maybe they, whatever. I think they thought they were going to shoot down a drone. The silhouette of a airliner is similar to the silhouette of some of these drones, but the problem is this. Once they hit the engine and caught it on fire and it threw out flames, Then all of a sudden it pops up on radar as an incoming missile because it looks like the heat signature and fire trail coming behind it of a rocket, not a jet engine. Jet engines are clean burn, just like diesels are set up now to clean burn, but they run at JP jet fuel basically. It's cleaner, and it can't have any water in it because it can't afford to stutter. So it's really clean burn unless they're doing a fuel dump or anything else they're doing. So this is meant to take them out. Basically, it hit the pilots and they lost radio. Then directly after that, the airplane engine at the same time, airplane engine was taken out but was caught on fire. There's a button in these airplanes. All they have to do is hit the button for fire, and it takes out several systems at once. And one thing it does is it turns on a fire suppression system similar to the 10 BC, 15 BC, fire extinguishers that truck drivers have. And it has to be that or high for chemical. And they have something that's probably better for electrical. It's probably more like the foam that firefighters have, and it will put it out. It will put it out, not a question of if. And they'll shut off the fuel to it, and there's nothing else to burn. Okay, so that didn't happen. They never had a chance to hit the button. They were dead. The pilots died when this thing killed them. Okay, that's why I said a post-mortem would tell, since they're keeping the black boxes. Iran refuses to give us the black box. So if we can't get the black box, the only proof we have now is a post-mortem autopsy on the dead when they come home. That will happen, at least if they don't try to, do anything in the interim. They put them in bags. There's video of them, being stacked in bags. Some of this video does show just them moving some bags, but so if that bothers you, don't watch this. But it's true, and I've been on this since the minute it happened, and then it was 45 minutes late. I was up watching war coverage just like every other American out here. I was worried about our troops. I was worried about our families over here. I was worried about everything and watching what was going to happen next. So in doing that, the only news place that put anything up was, a propaganda channel, RT. I don't recommend them, but I watched that, Al Jazeera. I watched what the other side's saying. You put 2 and 2 together, you can maybe make 4. Right? Well, they had up that a Ukrainian passenger jet crashed. Okay. Then I found on the internet a guy who had a cell phone and did a video. And I zoomed in on it, and it showed that the plane was on fire at the wing. But that after that, the white light chasing it, that one finally caught up to it, hit it midair. That's what deformed the airplane and made it all mangled and stuff before it even hit the ground. Then a third one hit it, I believe, before it hit the ground. Now, the third one could have been trying to save civilian lives of something that might be coming in to crash, or they just really wanted to tear it to pieces. But it did not hit the ground, and there was no big fire impact. There was fire that came raining down, but there was not a big round circle of an impact of boom and jet fuel in one spot or any straight line of it. It was blown to pieces. So I'm going to show you this, and this will make sense, okay? This was put out by, I want to say it was the Dutch Transportation Safety Board, to try to explain what happened with the MH17 Indonesian flight. I think one of them was shot down, and they did this, that this is one type of their missile. This is the one I believe hit the airplane first. The second one probably is one of the Su-300, Su-400 Russian systems, or even a newer missile that has controlled by the newer Russian radar system. I'll show a picture of that. But let's get into this, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And then this will make sense too. So, let me see if I've got this set up here. Hold tight. Let's see what we got. Get down. Okay. Yeah, let's get this going. Now, that's the missile. It comes up to close proximity of the plane. When that happens, radar is set off inside of the missile. It is designed to blow up in close proximity. It will throw shrapnel inadvertently to the engine, but what is important is it does that. There's the shrapnel, but then there are the holes, and it kills the pilot. Well, let's see if we can We'll get it to work. I'm sure you can see this now, but I'll rewind it just a bit because I stopped a little bit late. Okay. There you go. You can see the holes. I'll zoom a bit. So that's what it's designed to do, people. It's designed to kill the pilot, not the plane. If it was designed to kill the plane, well, let me move this a bit more, just because it needs a little bit more light. There we go. Okay. If it was designed to blow up a plane, it would explode. Okay. It doesn't exactly explode. It sets off a shot shell, okay, within close proximity by using radar, and it takes out the radio, takes out all of the pilots, pilot, co-pilot, anybody in the cabin, and also passengers. It's not going to be this pretty. It's not going to be just this. Okay, this is what happened to that flight. It's going to be all down the line. All the passengers are going to have shot shell in them. They're going to have shrapnel. That's why I said they can keep the black boxes all they want, but you will find shrapnel and round shot in a post-mortem autopsy. So check this out. Just bringing you the truth. It's a little bit, so this was designed over that Malaysia plane, but it's not designed to blow up. Now, the second missile did blow up and hit the plane. It was a Russian missile, likely, a little different than this one. There's two of these types. This is not even the exact one that was used. I'll put in the description below the two and put it in the comments, but here's what it's designed to do. Like I said, it comes up close to the plane, close proximity, explodes shot shell into the cabin to kill the crew. That's what it's made to do. It's a pilot killer. Okay? All right. Now that we're all on top of that, they have finally corroborated what I've been working on since day one. And even that night, I want to say it was the Department of Defense something. They made a comment on Twitter. I said, well, it said we have been under fire from Iran or whatever. I said, return fire, hell, right? That's what anybody would say. Well, okay, they didn't, which was probably good because now we can't be blamed for this one. And also, things worked out well. However, in the interim, I do believe that there are sleeper cells here, and I believe that they have, different plans, and they're not part of that group. So, still be on high alert, keep your head on swivel. But what I wanted to show, and this is the new Russian radar array, if you would call it that. It looks like a big, this is the new one. I don't know that Iran has this, but if they were using it that night, well, it does well at taking out passenger airplanes. So you see this, well, maybe you can't. I'm zoomed in too much. Let's try this again. There we go. So this thing is on a truck. It goes in. It is the radar systems that tells the missiles that there's something incoming. It probably picked up on, or whatever they're using, probably picked up on, and there's a big array of an antenna over here. They probably picked up on the heat signature once the engine was on fire and nobody was alive to hit the button, turn it off. So then that probably set off the SU-300 or SU-400 system, whichever Iran has. SU-300, well, it turned out to be not as good. So they upgraded it to SU-400. And then SU-400 can be upgraded even more. They can add stuff to it. So to search for different kind of radars and heat signatures and whatever else, they think they can search for. It's kind of problematic that that they did have this set up and that it people died. I think somebody was down there with an itchy trigger finger. I don't think it's kind of odd that they gave the passengers at first, they said they were 180 on board, then they said 176. So there's either 4 missing people or that may have been the reason that they wanted to take. I don't think they would take out that plane unless they thought that maybe their non-essential personnel leaving were maybe essential and those people were like, we're getting out of here, and maybe those traders. I wouldn't know what to think of that. I'm leaning more towards a mistake. I'm leaning more towards an accident, but anything's possible. The passenger manifest would tell a lot on that. I know 66 of them, I think they said, were from Canada. There was however many in the crew. And then the rest of the passengers, I guess, were from Ukraine. So, um, yeah. Oh, I see you. Oh, you're making comments. Well, I'm not sure if you're talking about me or not, but I can assure you that it happened, and I can assure you they'll get to the bottom of it, and they will find out the truth one way or another. Um, so time will tell. Truth rises. So I when I was watching it, I was one of the first ones to say that, hey, look, this happened. Then I was the first one to. I told them after I said, hey, return fire. I was like, evidently, Iran has shot down a passenger jet airliner. Okay, and so then going from there, I saw RT. Okay, put up that there was one that crashed. Then the Jordanian news service picked up on it later than that. I guess was it a I guess it was a day after that, and said that they think that Iran was the one that shot it down. Then after that, Iran said, "Well, we can't rule it out." They backed away from that. So the whole story has been muddled, and they don't want to give up the black box. And usually Boeing would go in there, and they're the designer of the plane, builder of the plane, to see if there was any problems. They're supposed to, and the NTSB and all that, and they're keeping a black box from them. I don't know how long they're going to be able to hold on to that. I think they're going to hear the pilots saying, hey, you're firing at us. What are you doing? Something like that, because the radio was cut. But the black box will have that other stuff. Well, it'd just be embarrassing for them. And now it seems like Iran is blaming Russian missiles. And so it's like, I think someone tweeted that it was a Russian missile, that kind of thing. So if it was, but Iran has to take credit for this one because they're the ones that bought them and they're the ones that used them, and hit the switch and went live with it all. So let's see if I can get that other picture up though that I wanted to show. Let's see here. But it was definitely shot down, and now the media is corroborating it. Here's what I'll do. I'll just show a video. I'll go into the video real quick. And they corroborated it. And let's see what we got here. Live special report. U.S. officials are confident that Iran shot it down. So I'm not the only one. Just like I said on the internet. And let's see what we can. Oh, I'm going to need audio.
Right now that CBS has been reporting is that
They just believe
with a high degree of confidence that the passenger plane went down in Iraq was shot down by an Iranian missile or something along those lines.
Something along the lines of an Iranian missile that they bought from Russia.
Correct. 176 people
from a number of different countries.
Exactly right.
The bodies won't lie.
And so the president was asked about that actually during the press conference it was sort of impromptu press conference that he was doing there at the White House, and president was
so scattered,
tight-lipped to the
there's
details.
not a big
but it's interesting,
black
hole
that things, and there's holes in the fuselage that are just like the shot I showed in the other.
And will be joining us in a moment to talk about this. Is Chris?
No, we don't have Chris, but we do have Liz Palmer.
Oh, okay.
She is in Tehran. So, Liz, you've been covering what has been happening.
Yeah, she's been covering for long because I was, and they weren't.
How it's being spun, and now we have this new information that it seems at least U.S. officials believe that the passenger plane that went down, the Boeing plane that went down as a result of an Iranian mistake, essentially. Liz, what are you hearing?
I appreciate the thumbs up too.
The news has broke just in the last short while. This is the eve of the weekend, and it took officials a while to react. Just a few minutes ago, the head of the Civil Aviation Authority came out publicly and said, this is simply not true. So Iran, for the moment, officially denying that it was a missile. The Revolutionary Guard website, or affiliated website, is saying, look, it's a conspiracy cooked up by the opposition. This didn't happen. Iran,
didn't happen.
As soon as the plane went down, or very shortly afterwards, said it was fairly confident that it had been an engine fire as a result of some catastrophic mechanical failure.
A catastrophic missile
story for the first day. Then the Ukraine weighed in and doubts began to circulate, especially on social media. And then today the Ukrainians said they were considering 4 possibilities, and one of them was a missile strike. So publicly showing that they weren't buying this assurance.
Yeah,
from the
and I'm going to tell you
Iranians that
something so you get the timeline straight, and you could check it on the internet that where I made the comment. Basically, I've been on top of this since it first happened, and then it became to be that the plane was 45 minutes late, and then they had to admit that it was a shoot down. Then RT picked up on the fact that it was crashed, but it wasn't. They weren't saying it was shot down, but they were saying it was crashed. That was the first report of the crash. Then Jordanian service said that they think it was a shoot down the next day. I was already saying this from day one because I watched the handheld video of the guy, and they have a not great video of it on here, but you can find it on the internet.
In a catastrophic
It was hit by 3 missiles.
Error. Now, the
They want
Ukrainian
to maybe say 2.
investigators will be looking at the wreckage. The Iranians, for the moment, have the black boxes, but they say they'll share them with the Ukrainians. And the Canadian civil aviation authorities may also get involved. They're investigators. This is early days yet. As you know, a proper investigation can take weeks and months. So we may not have confirmation for some time.
But in the first 15 minutes, a proper investigation takes weeks and months. But everybody was saying in the first 15 minutes that Iran was saying, oh, it was obviously just some kind of a mechanical failure. Yeah, they had a missile mechanically go and fail the plane. That's the mechanical failure.
But we want to get straight to Chris Van Cleve, who's joining us from Washington, D.C. Chris, just break down for our viewers the reporting that you and others at CBS News have confirmed.
Sure. What we have learned, and apparently federal officials were briefed on this morning, that U.S. officials are confident this Ukrainian airliner was shot down by Iran. U.S. intelligence picked up signals of Iranian radar being turned on, and then U.S. satellites detected infrared blips of 2 missile launches, followed shortly thereafter by another infrared blip that they believe was the explosion.
That's the third. No, it was not an explosion. It was a third missile. Now, listen to what I'm saying. So they just corroborated there was a third. Now, here's where I'm at on this. Okay. So they're finally catching up. Or you know, at least telling us what they've already caught up to. I'm sure they knew it the instant that there's 1,000 other people just like me that, you know, probably over there going, yeah, that was a shoot down. Well, and probably had a better view of it. They just didn't record it, or they sent it in to our people. Okay. So it was shot, but understand something. This airplane was at 8,000 feet. It's designed to run off one engine. One engine in the air can fly and land the plane. Okay, it might have been a little bit rough if you was taking off fully laden with fuel, but once it's in the air, it was 8,000 feet high. It was in low pressure, so it wasn't in high pressure. It wasn't, you know, getting a whole lot of problems with anything. It was actually still in level flight even while it was on fire. I think they died and couldn't hit the suppression button, but the plane probably took over, and the system was probably actually trying to compensate, you know, for airspeed. It probably gave more power to that other engine, but it kept in level flight, and you could just put out that other engine, and they could have turned and flew back. They would have not kept descending. They would have leveled out flight. They would have turned and went back to the airport, and they would have landed the plane with no problem. But they were dead. They were dead as soon as it hit. The thing was designed to kill them. So we'll go further with this. But that was 3. Like I said, 3. Remember 3. Because it'll come out one day that it was 3. Right now they're saying 2. I'm telling you that it was exploded at about 150 feet in the air on that third shot. So, and they were 2 or 3 different types of missile batteries.
Of impact, the plane, as it was climbing,
Russian radar,
midair, followed by
SU-300 or 400
it coming
system
down and crashing in a large fireball on the ground. And that tracks with the information we have. You heard Liz say that the Iranians have been say the plane turning around and trying to go back. Well, there is no publicly available flight data that supports that. This looked like a normal takeoff out of Tehran that this flight does every day. It got to 8,000 feet and then everything cut off. That is very consistent with some sort of catastrophic event happening in
Radio
midair,
cut off,
like
but the
being
plane
struck
kept
by a
flying.
missile. Now, what we are hearing is the belief is that this was a mistake. It was not intentionally targeted, but remember, this was just a couple of hours after the Iranians had launched their missile strikes on Iran.
If it is a mistake, and that's fine, it will bear itself out. The truth will bear itself out once we know who was on board the airplane. Because if it was someone who was supposed to have stayed in Iran, and I mean, you know, because I mean, evidently they shot it down. That did happen. Purposeful or not, okay. But if there was someone on board that plane that they thought was a traitor or shouldn't have left or whatever, I'm not saying it's beyond them. These people are the same ones that locked 400 people in a movie theater of their own people, locked the door, set the place ablaze, and burned it down. And they've got proxy fighters all over the place that do really worse things than shoot down an airplane. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Maybe it was a mistake. Okay, so.
Iraq and the world was really
there is a video of it being hit. It's on, some of it's on here. I watched the video that night. So
certainly,
as it happened. I was up all night because of that war.
All right, Chris Van Cleve, thank you so much, Chris, for your reporting. I know you've got to get to more reporting, so we appreciate you spending some time with us. Thank you very much.
Sure thing.
Let's go back to Liz.
Liz, I wanted to ask you sort of a quick
Share
question.
this video with everybody. Put this on Twitter. Put this on social media, anywhere you're at.
Two different stories. The
Listen,
president was saying there were no
the only way we're
casualties,
going to
but
get the truth out is if we get the word out. Put this on your Facebook. Put this on Twitter. Put this on your YouTube. Put a link to it and share it everywhere. We got to get the word out. I appreciate that. Appreciate the thumbs up there, Pac-Man.
Was saying something completely different, that there were multiple casualties.
And you watched the first
and
this
so
video, Pac-Man, because I showed the video on how it happened, and I'll show it again at the end.
It's a different story than what
I'm going to show that video again in a
CBS
bit.
News has been reporting that we're hearing from U.S. officials. What's
this
the
is Operation Hot Biscuit. I'm bringing it to you while it's hot. I've been talking about it since it happened.
If you want, for lack of a better phrase,
they're finally catching up on mainstream media. This was a
I know that
shootdown
prior to all of this, there had been protests in Iran that they had shut down the internet for a period of time, but you can't shut that down forever.
Can't stop the truth.
Oh,
forever.
the internet is working fine, and you can bet that this story, this news, is
been watching my
ricocheting
reporting.
around social media right now.
She knows it has.
Iranians are very tech savvy, and there are huge numbers of social media websites and bloggers and activists, and they'll be making sure that this news is everywhere on the internet at the moment. The Iranian officialdom is going to be scrambling to come up with a sophisticated response, and we may not see it for some time yet. As I mentioned, this is the eve of the weekend. If this is true, it's going to be
it was true the day it happened.
Embarrassing for them. You may wonder why an aircraft hit by a missile
Check my
doesn't
Twitter.
disintegrate.
I've been reporting on this since the instant it happened.
What some of the experts are saying, a Tor missile, sometimes used for anti-aircraft defense. The way they work is they get close to the plane and explode, and in fact, the plane is then hit by shrapnel, which is what brings it down. So it is conceivable that that's what happened.
That's the Tor
here.
missile system. There's another one.
This investigation, if it's careful and thorough, as I think it must be, because the stakes are so high, and this is such a tense time, it is going to take at least weeks.
I'll be interested too, Liz, to know. I mean, you talk about the fact that the internet is alive and well in Iran, and that the news will ricochet all across the country. But it sort of makes me wonder.
I can't tell you how many people like my stuff on Twitter.
The government get ahead of this already. There were reports out that they would not share the black box details, but then we had the video. In other words, in 2020, information finds its way to the people, and so now, as you point out, it's going to be hugely embarrassing for them. And they're going to have to answer not just to their own people, but to the nationals of other countries, primarily Canada, that had a lot of questions as to exactly what happened. And so I understand the kind of government the people of Iran live under, but I'm just sort of curious, having
this video that I put up of the shot.
Attempt at least to get ahead of this.
The video I put up of the shot is on Twitter. Share it off of your Twitter. Go on Twitter. Look up trucking stuff one. Share that one. Share what I put up.
Well, it has huge implications.
The one of the shot shell coming past the plane,
but security related, defense related, and so on. And if it was a mistake, it's a catastrophic mistake. The Iranian government in the past has struggled to come up with a message. There are many
I've been doing it since day one. You can look back on this thing. I went
without
sleep that night.
To prevail.
I'm all over this.
And so even if the Iranians suspected this is what happened and have suspected for several days, history teaches us
my
that
dad worked on jet airplanes in Vietnam, and he told me they don't crash unless someone crashes them.
To make the narrative coherent, and they probably still are. We don't know yet, but as an educated guess, I would say that's what's going on.
All right,
I could have worked for the NTSB.
I know it's late, Liz.
I could have done this.
There. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and shedding light
for
our viewers. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
I'll go further once he gets this guy. He's got his own maybe political stuff.
So
that's
Major,
cool.
you heard the reporting from Liz. You've spoken obviously to Chris Van Cleave. You just had him there for the special report. What's your analysis about
I worked on F-14A. Hey, I got you, brother.
Needs to be learned and
they've got some of those F-series planes in Iran, but they can't get parts for them, so they only have a few that'll fly. Because we supplied them and we can't give them parts, and we watch our parts.
And it's interesting at one level to think about the technological sweep of satellite gathered data.
And they're not getting no more missiles for them.
There are no black boxes yet that have been
They tried to invent their own, but they suck.
Analyzed. And yet, U.S. intelligence has a pretty clear
Did you see the cruise missiles?
Of what happened,
hey,
as do Canadian authorities and maybe the
Did you see the cruise missiles that they tried to shoot at our guys and they wound up cut in half and didn't explode when they hit the ground? Gee, I wonder what happened. That's all I'm saying on that one.
Ukrainians. What was the flight trajectory? What was happening? What appeared to have been a catastrophic event, and what may have been the event that caused that catastrophic event?
Well, they got lots of rockets
pieced together without
and the Su-300 and Su-400 system from Russia, and that new radar system.
That is a bit of sleuthing that is of importance both in terms of technology, in terms of answering to those
let me tell you something. The Su-300 is really great if you're looking to take out a flock of geese. If you have a flock of geese about to invade your country, I would go to Russia for a discount bargain price on the Su-300. But they upgraded it to the Su-400. That made it a little better. Now there's this Su-400 4.0 or whatever that has better systems, and they've found a way they can put stacked on systems and add more if you have more money and make it better. But that new one that I showed, let's see, VF-143 out of NASA Oceana. Yeah, that's Naval Air Station, if y'all don't know, NAS. They have up their systems and their radar systems that now, if they're controlling these things, they're good. But here's the problem. That airplane all of a sudden looked like a rocket because it had a flaming engine. Okay, so then that set off two different kinds of radars on two different systems that wouldn't have normally shot at it. And the fact that it's already shaped like one of our drones is problematic. And those idiots over there don't deserve what they have. And they have things that it's like giving a 3-year-old a bottle rocket and saying, don't point this at traffic, but put them facing traffic and say, here, light this and hold this. They don't know what they're doing with what they have. And an airplane does not have defense flak. It doesn't have defensive systems. It can't move in the way that anything else can. And it was fully laden with fuel. It had just taken off. So yeah, the heat signature changed. Yeah. And it blocked everything else out about the airplane except for just fire. You know, you can't have just fire. That looks like a ICBM or something, right? So we're gonna go further here.
Victims of this crash and placing,
but please share this everywhere.
Accountability falls upon
this needs to go everywhere. Twitter, I put my stuff on Twitter. Check it out, and the video is clear
the other dimension
on
of this
Twitter that I shared.
Is Iran likes to say it follows international law and international procedure. To do that in civil aviation, you must cooperate.
About to get off this thing.
And its lack of cooperation and its inability to explain, as you were just talking to Liz Palmer about, undercuts that public.
Check this out. We're going S500. Yeah, the S500 would be a completely different platform. Hang on one second. They got a different one. So let's see. Let's see real quick. I'm gonna show that again so that you get to see it, because other people didn't, or other people were here but you weren't, and I'm going to get off this thing. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Video, is that one the last one? That should be it. This is the system like I was showing, and I'll let you watch that. That's the shot canister that puts into this part of the missile. That is the sleeve that goes over it. These are all the different containers that when they blow out, they will create flak, but they're made to shoot out. Think of them as shot shell or ball bearing. It's meant to kill the pilot. And then, so I'm just going to play this, and then 1 second here. Let me set the audio up. And this was what the Dutch air traffic safety, I guess, board, they come up with. This is a mock-up of what they believe happened to the, here I'm gonna move it, and I'm working on this here. What they believe happened to the MH17 is it was shot down. Now, it comes up in close proximity, it explodes and kills the pilot. It's not made to explode, it just shoots out shells and kills the pilot. That's where they lost radio contact. That's where the flak turned the airplane engine into a flaming ball of fire. Watch the holes in, watch where they're at. I did it again, I went too far. So you can see that's designed to kill kill the pilot, okay? All those holes. And then going further, as that happened, that was the first shot. It blew up the engine. That set off a different set of radar systems. An Su-300 or 400 set up another one, and there was a white light chasing it. I watched the white light chase it in that video. As it happened, it hit the plane, and then that mangled it into a mess and actually blew up. It didn't do this type of damage. It did a different type of damage. Then the third, possibly similar, missile, probably shot from the same battery, came in and hit it before it hit the ground at probably about 150 feet off the ground. So I'll play the rest of this, and it will show you, and you'll understand a little bit better. There you go. So it was made to tell about the Malaysia plane, but this is the battery. Goes up. That's the missile. This is how it's designed. Shot shells designed to kill pilots. Airplanes do not crash themselves. People who want them to crash them. So it comes up in close proximity. The radar goes off. Hits the plane. Hits the engine. Pilots are dead. Radio communication out. Nobody hits the fire suppression system button that also kills hydraulics and also kills everything else, fuel and hydraulics to that engine, and then it can be flown back on one engine. That did not happen. It continued to climb. It still had one good engine. Those people could have lived if that shot shell had not killed them. Probably the first 3 or 4 rows of seats, those people probably died, and probably whatever might have come off the back of the engine probably would have deflected off the tail section where those people were at on the back rows. So this is all I got. People, I appreciate you showing up. Share this with everybody if you want to know the truth. It's right in front of you. So I'll get into the sleeper cells and that, because I believe that they're still here. I don't believe that they are taking the same truce that the Ayatollah Khamenei guy is. I think that they, like I said, they know about the story where they put the 400 people in the cinema and burned them to death, and in 78, and then 79 changed rule. And so since then they've been in power, and now they have bigger toys that do worse things. So they're trained to go into houses and kill everything in the house living and leave. That's all those terrorist bases from Jordan to Iran to everywhere else that guy Soleimani actually was training them in, and they all kissed him on the cheek and revered him. So there's a whole bunch of terrorists out there that are not happy that their leader of that group is gone. And now it just so happens that his daughter says she's asking for the government, and she knows that her uncle is going to take retribution. Guess who her uncle is? Soleimani's brother is the leader of Hezbollah. So I think we still have more stuff coming our way. They've said that the Department of Homeland Security put out that alert. I did that other video the other day that was just me talking, that they have demonstrated the capability and willingness from Iran to cause us harm here in the United States by taking out computer systems, by other things, and possibly, a threat here. Security is heightened right now in New York for a good reason. And people from Iran at this point are being stopped at our borders. Doesn't matter, even if you're an American citizen, if you have Iranian descent, they're going to stop you and find out why you need to enter the United States. They did not give a visa or accept the visa of the Iranian foreign minister to come here. And they're, like I said, there's the guy that I heard that used to that was over in Kuwait and I guess Iraq and Kuwait, I believe it was. And he said that he spoke Arabic and that they had mentioned to him something about that they knew that guns weren't working in churches. And so that they were going to try to just burn them since they locked the doors. And that harkens back to what everybody over there knows, that they burned the cinema. So I would say, honestly, we need more protection outside of our churches. I would say we need to watch our houses. I'm saying that this could happen to be bad at any point. And every one of those people that he trained kissed him on the cheek over there in them terrorist camps whenever he showed up. And now his brother is over Hezbollah. So it's not just the Qud, Q-U-D, the Qud that he was over, but Hezbollah, a whole different force. And they're a militia that is going to, or they say wants to have revenge against Americans. So this, I think, is a short-lived, whatever you want to call it, with Iran, but then their proxies do whatever they want to do. So other than that, I'm going to get off this thing. Y'all stay safe. I'm going to make this Operation Hot Biscuit. I'll put it in that playlist. You can check out that playlist, but share this video everywhere. Put it on Twitter. And we will find out, because they'll find the shrapnel. They will find out from the people when they come back and they do the postmortem autopsy. They'll find it. They'll find it, and they already know. They've seen the pictures. And look, you can look on after I reported, after I did everything I've done on it. Even Infowars picked up on this. Paul Joseph Watson did a thing on it showing pictures of the plane fuselage, and you could argue that if a plane went out behind, aft of the engine, that it would possibly have shrapnel holes in the plane, but you can't argue that it would be before and in front of from the nose cone on the side. I've got a picture of the side where there's holes in it, and it's this. So y'all stay safe. I'm gonna get off this thing. This is Operation Hot Biscuit. I'll try to do a live later, maybe not today, but at some point, and some kind of a video I'll put up if I don't go live about the sleeper cells. And so keep your head on swivel. Y'all stay safe. I'm off this thing. Peace.